All right, so this is my Secrets of Cleansing webinar. Really excited about this particular webinar because I've been practicing Ayurvedic medicine and doing cleansing programs for 26 years. I've seen a lot of people over the years go through my cleansing and rejuvenation programs, and today I'll share with you a few of the secrets from that experience. I'll share with you a couple of case stories where people experience miraculous changes. And when you stay to the end, I will make you a very special offer and I will share a particular tool that I use in my cleansing program to where people can actually assess their own toxic burden. It's a really great tool, and I'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. Let's see. So let me tell you a little bit more about what I will be covering in the webinar. I'll be talking about a couple of case studies.
Okay.
I'll share with you why the three steps to cleansing are very important and why one of them can't even be missed. I'll talk to you about actually preparing your body for a cleanse because, believe it or not, that's really important. Certain cleansing pitfalls that we can get into, and I'll also provide you with some questions and some things to contemplate, because contemplation is really important. In our day and age, we have so much fast food information. We just consume and consume and consume. And when I was learning about Ayurveda, we contemplated a lot and for a long time. Now, in case you don't know me, over the years, I've helped tens of thousands of people actually to feel better and increase the quality of their lives. And I share both from the teachers that I've studied with over the years of experience and practice. And then when I work with people, I walk with them every step of the way. In case you don't know me, I'm a cleansing and rejuvenation specialist, and I help people in the ways that I help people through webinars like this, individual consultations, my online programs, my day spa here on Kauai, the Hanalei Day Spa. So those are just a few of the ways that I help people. Today we're at a webinar. So in my work, I help people to learn about the 7 different kinds of toxins that they're exposed to, and then I help them to cleanse these toxins efficiently and comfortably. I help folks to actually track their progress with curated and inexpensive tests and barometers, and at the end I'll give you one of my barometers, one of my secret weapons. And then I also help folks to prevent toxins from entering our bodies in the first place, because that's really important. So those are some of the ways that I actually help people. And the first thing that I want to do today is share with you a quick case study about how when toxins are removed, their effects go away, such as, in this case, headaches, allergies, asthma, intense asthma attacks, and lockjaw. So this client came to me, and she had suffered from allergies and migraines for years and years, and her jaw was so tight she could only open it about 50%. Imagine that. Open your mouth now as much as you can. Imagine you can only open it 50%. Oh my gosh, I can't even begin to imagine. And there was a lot of associated pain. This woman, we're still friends to this day. She came to see me and she was relatively healthy, but she had these debilitating headaches and lockjaw, as well as asthma. And I think she had allergies. Let me check my notes. She wanted to receive the Ayurveda cleansing and rejuvenation program called Panchakarma. So we got to work together for 7 days intensively on site. I'll tell you a little bit about the Ayurveda cleansing and rejuvenation program called Panchakarma in a few minutes, but Suffice it to say, right now, it's a quintessential cleansing program, and it is where I draw from with the Serious Cleanse program and everything that I talk about. Of course, I'm based it in Ayurveda. Of course, I'm going to, share from that. So she wanted to receive this cleansing program. So we set her up with her preparation consultation, and I really helped her to prepare her body very well. And we'll talk about the importance of preparation in a few minutes. And I helped her prepare in different ways. She did some at-home things to prepare her body, and then she came on site. And again, I got to work with this woman for 7 days straight, about 3 hours each day. Panchakarma is a beautiful cleansing program within Ayurvedic medicine. And it really helps to eliminate years of built up toxins and doshas, which in Ayurveda are, we look at the body as a combination of the different elements. And what happens over time is we need to do periodic cleanses because we're all exposed to different toxins. Toxins, some of them that we even create ourselves. Some of you did my webinar, the very last webinar on sunscreens, and I talked about some of the 7 categories of toxins, and one of them is toxins that we actually create ourselves. So Renu came in and she worked, we got to be about hands-on for 2 to 3 hours each day. And let's see, I took some notes here so I would remember everything for you beforehand. And I carefully chose her treatment protocol, which is something that I do for everybody, including herbalized oils that we put on the body. Now, remember my last webinar, we talked about how the skin's role in the summer sunscreen report, which is available to you, by the way. I'll post a link soon. We talked about the skin's role in imbibing toxins, and we will talk a little bit about that today. So when we put herbalized oils on the skin, it really helps to treat the body. So that was part of her treatment plan: herbalized oils, specific foods, even particular strokes during her daily abhyanga or warm oil massage that she received every day. Now, I really focused on clearing the channels in her body, particularly from here up, because obviously she had all these maladies in these, in this area. And I used certain means, such as the herbalized oils, particular massage strokes, even a treatment in Ayurvedic massage called marma chikitsa. Chikitsa means treatment. So we used marma chikitsa. These are certain points. They're likened to acupuncture points. So I used stimulated these certain points to create balance for her. Now, when her body got ready, I helped her to do the cleanse called Varechana, which eliminates toxins from the small intestine area and the surrounding organs, or excess pitta, if you know your Ayurveda. And it says here, I could still remember her face and her brown eyes when she looked at me and smiled and said, I can open my mouth much further than I have ever opened it, or that I can ever remember. And she was also free of migraines. So after she did her cleanse, actually during her cleansing program, she had relief of her symptoms, which was beautiful and miraculous. And that's what we see a lot of times in these cleansing programs, where when we eliminate the toxins, those symptoms go away. So this is one of the ways that we can, one small example of my years of offering panchakarma. Now, what would you say if I told you that the accumulation of toxins is at the root cause of the disease process? Hi, Mindy. Aloha, everybody. Nice to see you. All right. You might say, well, what about things like cancer or diabetes or genetic factors, Darcy? Well, you want to think of those as switches. when all the factors are aligned and genetic markers turn on for that disease, what generally starts to happen is when there's buildup of toxins, when there's particular emotional, physical, mental stresses more than our body can handle, these switches tend to turn on. But that can definitely be prevented by periodic cleansing, by carefully crafting our lifestyle to eliminate and prevent these toxins and living in harmony with nature. And these are things that we do in Ayurveda. Now, one of the things that I frequently see as a cleansing specialist is the presence of what I call causative factors. I've been talking a lot about causative factors. Who's seen that in my emails and my posts this week? A lot about the causative factors. So I frequently see these causative factors in people's lives that basically cause these intense symptoms. And what happens is we don't realize it, but we might be doing these things and we don't even know. We might be causing our very symptoms. In fact, I have a little video about that. If you haven't checked it out, you may want to check out that video called Causative Factors. Are You Creating Your Own Symptoms? Alrighty. And what happens is, since we don't realize that we're doing this thing that's causing our symptoms, we keep doing it until we realize. And then once we eliminate these causative factors, sometimes we have a complete health turnaround. Sometimes we need to do some deeper diving and do some cleansing in order to really get back to feeling our best after that. And a lot of times what I see is folks can't actually figure out what's going on. And so then they go from doctor to doctor. And sometimes the doctors still can't figure it out. But when we really roll up our sleeves, we can find these things that we don't know. In my last webinar, the Summer Sunscreen Report, I talked a lot about my friend Lonnie. She had started to use a particular type of sunscreen. She didn't know that it was really toxic to her body. And she started to have incredible high blood pressure. She had heart palpitations even, and panic attacks, recent weight gain. All of this was actually sudden, these symptoms. And as soon as she read my Summer Sunscreen Report, actually she was one of the ones that proofread it. As soon as she read that, she followed my instructions, she eliminated it and immediately began to feel better. Now, we're not always that lucky. And we, can't know what that is, and we don't always have a Darcy Frankel to help do the consultation and roll, to help me to come in and look at your lifestyle and roll my sleeves up to be able to actually do this. So oh, thank you. Spot on. Thank you. So it helps to really have a good healthcare professional on your side to, to help be a detective with you. And so one of the things that I am offering right now, and I will post it here, is I am offering a new consultation package just in case you might be one of those people who have some causative factors in your life. I will just post this, and then there you go. There's a little link, and we talked a little bit about causative factors. Thank you, Sarah, for your comment. This case study, to changed his name, but I haven't seen the man for one day. Elijah came into my office, and he was in excruciating pain. And this is a really great example of how toxins can cause pain, mental confusion, anger, misplaced anger, and even limited range of motion. So Elijah came in with excruciating pain in his neck, limited range of motion. Poor guy, he could barely even turn his head. We have nice full range of motion. my heart really went out to him, and I totally wanted to help him. I'm like that with people in pain. So I asked him, I did an abbreviated Ayurveda consultation with him because he was in so much pain. I wanted to get him on the table and, help him with some massage therapy. I was working as a chiropractic assistant and massage therapist at my then husband's chiropractic office in North Miami Beach. So I asked him some questions. I did my examination, during which I noticed this really intense smell of bad breath, which is the particular of toxins. It's a very particular smell. And I also felt his pulse, as we do in an in-person Ayurveda consultation. And I asked to see his tongue, as we do in an Ayurveda consultation. So there was a very, very thick white coating on his tongue. Now, us Ayurveda practitioners use our senses of darshana, observing, sparshana, feeling the pulse, prashna, questioning, to sense disease, disorder, and even subtle imbalances. Now, I knew he'd just been in a car accident and that there was a strong presence of toxin, which preceded the accident. It would have taken him years to build up these toxins. So what I did was, again, treated him with some herbal oils, also used some temperature therapy. I used some hydroheliotherapy with hot, moist packs, different liniments, those marma chikitsa points, and massage therapy. But he was so sensitive to the touch, I couldn't do much. His muscles have the corresponding full of toxins kind of feel that some people get, but it's hard for me to describe, but I know what it feels like. I know what it smells like after 26 years. And he has such a load of toxins clogging his channels of the body. I realized that the most effective course of action would be to help him to release some of these toxins first, or else the other therapies that I really wanted to do would just have a limited effect. So I suggested a quintessential herbal compound, which would do the trick. By the way, this herbal combination is in our Serious Cleanse protocol, the cleansing kit, which some of you have done or will do soon. I probably should have talked to him about food choices, but I didn't want to overwhelm him, and he was scheduled to see me in a few days anyway. So I gave him this, here's this, bottle of herbs, if this is something you'd like to take, I think it'll help you. I did a little massage therapy, and so he went home. And then the very next day, I was in my office, which was way in the back, and I could hear him walking in the door. And he was angry. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And he stormed down the hall. It was a really long hall. So I watched him storm down the hall. And he told me how he actually had diarrhea from the herbs, which is what he said. Now, as he was talking, I noticed a couple of pertinent things. Now, I noticed that same smell that filled the room was no longer there. And usually, somebody's bad breath smell does not go away in one day. And he could also move his head more. So he's talking and gesticulating, and I noticed, wow, just the day before, he couldn't do that. So I started to get excited, and I was standing there with my clipboard and my pen, and I dropped my pen. And he was such a mensch, he's such a great guy, that he actually, he bent down, he picked up my pen, and even though he was a little mad, and he handed it to me. And I looked at him, and I realized that the amount that was suggested on the bottle of Triphala, it would never give a man, he was 6'2", this big, huge guy. So I said, well, tell me more about what happened. What did you do? And so he said, well, I think he took like 3 times the amount. He just misread it. He misread it. And he gave himself a virechana, or a therapeutic purging, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. And I started to explain to him that I said, well, you took this amount. Do you see how it says here? And as soon as he realized, he felt so bad. He was embarrassed. He said, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm just so came in here storming mad at you. And how could I do that? You're only trying to help me. And I looked at him and, remember he was 6'2" and, I'm 5'8". So I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, I completely accept your apology. And I squeezed his shoulder a little bit. And I said, I was smiling and he's looking at me curiously. And the whole thing was just very interesting. And he's looking at me curiously. And I said, I couldn't do this yesterday. And I explained to him about the toxins and this particular smell. And I said, you actually gave yourself a therapeutic purging. And I explained to him the benefits of it. And I also said, usually we prepare the body really well and then do that and do some things after, but every once in a while you can just do that kind of purging and it's really good, especially if the body is so chock full of toxins, right? So I explained this to Elijah and he just smiled and he said, you're right. And I said, and look, you have more range of motion. I said, follow the pen, with your head. And he did. And he realized we did the same test yesterday and he had way more range of motion. So I thought that was really interesting. And I said, I actually want you to repeat it in about 2 weeks' time. And we laughed and he agreed. So even though diarrhea was unexpected, it was extremely therapeutic in this instance. And so over the next couple of months, we did more body work. I helped him, with his food choices because he was creating a lot of his own toxins. And he regained full range of motion. He had no structural damage at all. And that was a really great story about how toxins can cause us limited range of motion, pain, and even cloud our judgment. I love that story of Elijah because it clearly illustrates food toxins, and how how toxins cloud. So in my definition of toxins, I talk about how toxins cloud the channels of the body. So we have all these invisible channels called nadis. And if we're functioning correctly on the physical, mental, emotional, and subtle levels, these channels are clear. And all of our senses are honed. But when our channels get full, when our organs of detoxification are full, and we'll talk a little bit more about that soon too. When we're full, we can't observe clearly, in a sense, and it also numbs our senses. So toxins, the definition of toxins are different substances that clog the channels of the body. And toxins go to different places. They go to the blood. We talked about this last time, but in short, they go to the blood, the bones, even the brain, the fatty tissue. There's a lot of great fatty tissue in the brain, and different toxins can sometimes hang out there as well. Toxins find their home in different places, but definitely clog the channels of the body. And that's why it's really important to do periodic cleanses. And so how do we acquire toxins? So I will do a video on the 7 categories of toxins for everybody. I think that will be really important at one point in time because it's so extensive. What happens is that toxins are a thick, morbid, sticky substance for the most part that clog the channels of the body. And the channels are both subtle as well as gross. So examples of the subtle channels are the mind. Do you ever, have a night of food debauchery and then wake up and your tongue is all like white and your head is just kind of like foggy? And so that's an example of the subtle channels of the body. So it's really important to keep our organs of detoxification and our organs of elimination clean and clear. I'm noticing it's just starting to rain here on Kauai, so hopefully we sustain our internet connection. All right, so the organs of elimination are, so what happens? So let me ask you this, what happens if you don't take the trash out for a week, a month, a year? Yeah, that shit piles up in the body too. Same exact thing. So what goes in must come out. So the organs of elimination are the colon, the skin, the whole digestive tract, right? What goes in must come out. And there's basically this whole tube here. But there's other areas such as, you know, the sweat, urine, defecation, even sleep helps us to eliminate unwanted mental impressions and helps us to process through these mental impressions through the night. Also, you know, inhalation and exhalation. This is really interesting. Exhalation is a form of elimination. And that's why in the serious cleanse, we do different breathing practices to help create that balance. So in my Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge, I really help people to go through all of their organs of detoxification and elimination and prepare them, cleanse them, and rejuvenate them. All right, and that's what I do in all of my offerings as well, to some degree, as much as time can actually allow. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the 4 organs of detoxification as well, and how they can get backed up. But it's obvious that, you know, we need to keep our colon moving, yes. So we do need to have bowel movements. Now, some people, the exceptions to that are some people have a certain condition with an extra long colon called a megacolon, believe it or not. And their colon is a little extra long, and so their transition time can sometimes take them a little bit longer. However, with somebody who has their colon is slower, either through because it's dry, or excess vata or kapha, slow in that way, that is another thing to consider. So there's different reasons why our organs of elimination or detoxification might not be moving as smooth or as balanced. And those are things to look at, because if you don't have regular bowel movements, that organ of elimination will get backed up. And so that's something as a cleansing practitioner I look at carefully when somebody comes to me with a consultation or a cleansing, you know, and rejuvenation program. It's really important to pay attention to, okay, what's backed up, what's working smoothly, or what's working hyper, and to create and bring some more balance. Okay, so who knows what the 4 organs of detoxification are? We talked about this in the last webinar. Our 4 organs of detoxification are the skin, the kidneys, the liver, and the lymphatic system. Now, these are the organs that help us to cleanse. And similar to the organs of elimination, these organs have to be moving fluidly or else they get backed up. Now, let's say, using our not taking the garbage out analogy, let's say one of these organs of detoxification gets backed up or is thwarted in some way. Let's say we can't sweat, or we don't sweat, or we're not exercising, or breathing deeply, or receiving massage. These are the 3 ways that the lymphatic system really works. well, then that organ of detoxification is going to be more sluggish, right? Or if somebody's liver, let's say, is overwhelmed with so many medications or alcohol or trying to detoxify something else, it's not going to be able to flow. So we really need these all to be balanced: the liver, the kidneys, the skin, and the lymphatic system. So one of the things that we do in Serious Cleanse is we do quarterly, we use the Serious Cleanse protocol quarterly to help cleanse our skin with the skin and the lymphatic cleansing tutorial. And then we use the Serious Cleanse body mask, which pulls even more toxins out through the skin, as well as the Serious Cleanse tea, which also works on the liver and the kidneys. So I know that, Sarah, you're going to be doing that soon, and that's really exciting. And we talk about that a little bit more one-on-one soon. All right, so what helps the 4 organs of detoxification other than the Serious Cleanse protocol? Well, internally, our Agni. What is Agni? Well, you're using one of your Agnis right now if you're paying attention. The Agni in your eyes. Agni means fire. It's the concept of transformation in the body. So when we take food, our ability to digest is called Agni. So we have Agni in the stomach, we have Agni in the brain and the mind, which helps us to transform ideas and concepts and thoughts. We have emotional Agni, mental, visual Agni, many different types. So Agni helps us to keep our organs of elimination clean and clear by doing its job. Agni can be impaired, it can be slow, as in some Agni, it can be overexcited, as in the type of Agni that just really burns way too fat, way too hot, or it can be balanced. So slow, hyper, or balanced. So those are the different types of Agnis. And these are things that as an Ayurveda practitioner, I keep in mind when I see people for cleansing. And it's also important to keep this in mind when we choose something. So for instance, when you make a plate of food, do you have the Agni to digest it? When you take on a project, during our daily activities, do we have the energy of the Agni to perform that? So those are really important concepts in Ayurveda. All right, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about the, let's see, what are you cleansing from? So here's another nod back to our 7 categories of toxins. And, you know, I do want to, I wasn't going to bring these up, but I can't not. I just really need to mention these. You know, so we have this, so I didn't want to overwhelm anyone's Agni. Anyone's, I didn't want to give anybody more than they can actually digest, but I think it's important to actually mention. So let's see. I'm going to just mention each of the categories of toxins. So you know, because sometimes we know what we're cleansing from, and sometimes we don't know what we're cleansing from. And it's really important to know that. If not, you just do the Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge and the protocol 4 times a year, and you're good. All right, so the 7 categories of toxins. The first category is food toxins. Those are toxins that we create ourselves through improper food combining, eating at the wrong time of the day, eating too much, or eating before the previous meal has digested. Toxins in our air, water, food, and medicine Now that's different from food toxins. So these are actual toxins in our air, water, food, and medicine. These are things that are not naturally occurring. These are poisons. These are sprayed on, grown into, injected into, genetically engineered into, sprayed overhead, aluminum and barium, which falls onto our food, hormones and antibiotics, which are grown into and fed into our food. These are toxins in our water, food, and medicines. Third category is toxins which are naturally occurring in nature, such as mycotoxins, mold, aquatic biotoxins, things like ciguataria, fish carry ciguataria, lectins, and Lyme disease, things like that, like Lyme disease comes from a tick bite, and these, occur in nature. Although there is some speculation about Lyme disease being some type of modified genetically, but I don't know. The fourth category of toxins are EMFs, or electromagnetic field toxins. Now, some people overlook these, but these interfere with our atomic cellular function. Category number 5 is chemical, petrochemical, and heavy metal toxins. These are found in everyday products. Each one of these I could talk about for a week. Category 6 is mental and emotional toxins. We can heal these. Category 7 is bacteria, virus, yeast, candida, and parasites. So their presence can be detected and they can be eliminated. So it's really important to know which categories of toxins you have. So what are you cleansing from? Why are you cleansing? So when you're thinking about cleansing, these are the questions you want to ask yourself. Why are you cleansing? What are you cleansing from? Do you remember in the beginning I said I'm going to give you some questions to contemplate? These are those. Now, again, sometimes we know what we're cleansing from. Sometimes we don't know. In the example, I think I might have given this at the last webinar on the example of our surf legend, Rel's son. As a child, her and her friends used to play in the DDT spray from the truck. They did this on Oahu. They sprayed to kill mosquitoes, but what they didn't tell folks in the neighborhood and the children is that this is a very toxic, noxious, disease-causing chemical combination, likened to Agent Orange and made by the same people. And then later in life, she had a 15-year battle with cancer. Now, at the time, we don't know that we're exposing ourselves to these toxins frequently. So we don't know, oh yes, I'm cleansing from that DDT. But if it's in my case, when I was in middle school, I knew I was being exposed to something toxic. It did not smell good. I went to school and then immediately got tired. And so I was exposed to a toxic, a portable, as they called it in those days. It was like a portable building that they put up really quickly so we can go to school. I don't know. And so it wasn't until later that I realized that that was what happened, and I helped to cleanse and detoxify my body, and healed from those effects. Now, sometimes we know what we're cleansing from, and sometimes we don't know. So that's important. So remember, stick to the end, and I will share with you my assess your toxic burden quiz, so you can assess your own toxic burden. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about panchakarma, because that gives us a really good framework it gives us a good container. And it's given me my experience. Now, I'm not telling you this because I'm selling panchakarma. I'm not really even doing panchakarma right now. I might, in the future. But panchakarma is Ayurveda's quintessential cleansing and rejuvenation program. Now, it has important aspects to it. So remember in the beginning of the webinar, I talked about how there are very important aspects to a cleanse, and we can't skip one of them. So this is why I'm bringing up panchakarma. So I use the fairy tale or story analogy of there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you can't just have a beginning and have a really good story, can you? You can't have just the middle and have a good story. In the same way, you don't just tell a punchline to somebody and think they're going to laugh because they won't. So we need all aspects to have a good cleanse. We need preparation, purva karma, the actual cleansing or panchakarma, and the post-cleansing measures or paschat karma. So these are the three aspects. Now, a lot of people do these cleanse and they just, and this is another thing I'm going to do a really deep dive into, like the master cleanse, or really looking at these different cleanses and talking about those in the context of my experience. Now, a lot of times cleansing are just more like a fast. Now, fasts are good because they help to stimulate many different things in the body. I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting, as well as fasting from other things periodically. However, when we just fast, it can shoot all manner of toxins into our system. Do you remember I talked about how toxins live in different tissues? Well, there's a lot of toxins that are really dangerous that live at the cellular, the fat level. And so what happens is our body starts to burn up this stored fat, right? So what do you think happens? We get instant, huge download and release of these intense, it could be very, very intense chemical, heavy metal substances. We don't know. One time I was doing a cleanse, and all of a sudden, for a little period of time, I could smell this smell. And it was something that I had been exposed to as a child. My body was eliminating that. And so when we just fast, it's not necessarily a cleanse. So it's important to have preparation. In the serious cleanse, we do just that. And in panchakarma, we do just that. We prepare the body really well. And there's certain ways. Now, I'm not going to bring you through the whole panchakarma experience right now, but I wanted to share it with you as a container. So panch means five, and karma means actions. So these are 5 cleansing actions. Actually, the cleansing is implied. Panch means 5, and karma means action, right? Good karma, instant karma, bad karma, negative karma. Karma literally means action. I go like this, and air molecules, move away, right? I blink my eyes, and a similar thing happens. I move my lips and tighten my vocal cords in a certain way, and words come out. I say something kind. I say something kind and nice, and there's an action in your body. I touch you in a certain way, and your body responds. I say something mean or condescending, which I can't even muster right now, and there's an action. So karma is implied. So pancha are the 5 cleansing actions, the 5 ways to actually go through and cleanse the body. But you have to prepare the body by heating with heat and warmth and certain oils. These oils help the tissues, these oils and the heat, and remember I said with Renu, we did these certain massage strokes I chose herbalized oils. The oils penetrate the tissues and lubricate the tender tissues. And then when somebody does the karma or varechana, remember I said on day 6 she had this cleansing experience where she cleansed. I helped her to cleanse her the small intestine area, and then her jaw pain and headaches went away. Well, what happens in panchakarma is the opposite of what happens when we acquire toxins. So when we acquire toxins, something, here's one, here's another, here's another. Soon enough, my whole body is going to be clogged. All these sticky notes, they're not sticking very well, but you get the idea. So we acquire these toxins and we need to skillfully eliminate them or they'll just stay on us and in us. And Ayurveda teaches us to do that. And by the way, I follow the same structure, a similar structure with my 30-day Serious Cleanse Challenge. Also a similar structure with the Serious Cleanse protocol. So then we help the body to vacuum the toxins to the center, and then we perform one of these 5 cleanses. Varechana was one of them. Just like Elijah, he took some herbs and he eliminated toxins. Well, what happens when you prepare the body well is these toxins, whether they be heavy metal toxins, mold toxins, mycotoxins, food toxins, chemical toxins, plastics, get vacuumed to the center, and then they're relatively comfortably eliminated, and gently, relatively eliminated. And so it's really important to have somebody guiding your cleanse who knows what they're doing. If not, you could just be shooting things out, or, I know a lot of people who'll do a heavy metal cleanse and they'll just take cilantro, for instance. Well, okay, so cilantro mobilizes toxins. So you can mobilize a lot of things, but you got to get that stuff out. So there's wisdom that needs to happen, and that's what we do with the overall picture of these cleansing programs that I offer. Now let me just take a look at my notes. You can't have one without the other. I can't just, I could just prepare my body, and it would be nice to lubricate and hydrate and heat and create openness and space in the body. And I could just cleanse, just like Elijah did that time. And I could just do rejuvenative substances or, after cleansing measures. But it's not the same as when you put all of these together. When you put these ingredients together, they just kind of synergistically, exponentially enhance the effectiveness. And so that's the beauty of these tried and true, time-tested cleansing protocols like panchakarma, the Serious Cleanse protocol, and my Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge. So whether or not you ever do any of those, although you've done, some of you who are attending have definitely done my my cleansing kit or my Serious Cleanse protocol. And I know, Sarah, you have your kit and you're going to be doing that soon, which is really exciting. Regardless of how much cleansing you do in your life, I want you to know that these 3 aspects, preparation, the actual cleansing, and after cleansing measures, are all really important 3 aspects. Remember, it's like that story. So I wanted to recap, and then I'll take a look and see if there's any questions or comments or concerns. So again, what goes in must come out. If we're backed up in some way, physically, mentally, emotionally, if we're backed up in some way, we need to create balance with that. We need to only eat foods that we have the Agni or digestion for, or will create ama or toxins. Ultimately, it is ideal to know what we're cleansing from. And I will post this link for everybody to see here for the consultations. Right now I'm having a really good discount special on my consulting, if anybody wants to figure out what they're cleansing from. One of the questions I have for you to contemplate is, what kinds of cleanses have you done before? How did you prepare? And how did you come out from your cleanse? Let me just check my list. We did the case studies, the 3 important steps and why one cannot be missed, pitfalls. So if you plan to do, so a couple of the pitfalls are changing the trajectory midstream and sabotage. So preparing mentally is just as important as preparing physically. So before we do a cleanse, you really want to set the space. You want to mentally prepare and physically prepare. You want to get everything you need for your cleanse. Cleanses are usually done in some modicum of isolation and quietude. Don't expect to do your cleanse while you're doing your normal everyday life. My husband likes to say sometimes it's just folly. He doesn't make fun of anybody, but cleansing is a time of inward contemplation, to allow the energies to move inside, to do what they need to do. It's a time of quiet, a time of solitude, and a time of introspection. It's a time of self-care, a time where we're bringing our arrows of attention inside, not outside. So part of preparing our body for a cleanse and preparing well, it includes creating the space internally and externally. So you want to mentally prepare. You want to mentally prepare yourself. You think about, and you know, and you resolve that you will be eating a certain way. You'll be restricting yourself in some way, shape, or form. You'll be restricting your activities, and you will have accepted that. This is essential to be successful in any cleanse. If not, you'll find yourself cheating. And what does that mean? You're really only cheating on yourself when you cleanse, if you break that or deviate, right? Part of preparing this physical space is to prepare people in your life. Say, I'm going to be not as available during this week, so I just want you to expect that. Here's what you need. Here's everything. I'm taking care of me for right now. Just like the do not disturb sign on your door when you're meditating. I'm a big fan of that, as some of you know. All right, so that's how to prepare the body, the mind, and the emotions well. As we mature, we realize that sometimes we need to periodically restrict what we do. These things are built into time-tested traditions. Lent, Ramadan, and there are many different traditions in the world which have cleansing in them. Cleansing is built in, and it's very important. Even in the days when they didn't have petrochemicals and heavy metal toxins and toxins in the air and the food and the water and the food and sprayed in and genetically engineered and the fabric softeners and the cleaning products and oh my gosh, it goes on and on. We're exponentially exposed to so many more toxins nowadays than we ever were in the past. But even in thousands of years ago, they did cleanses. Why? Because they knew we need these breaks. We need breaks to go inside. Our digestive organs need breaks. So periodic cleansing is very healthy for the body and mind. I highly recommend it. As you know, I'm a major exponent of cleansing. So that's a couple reasons about how to avoid these cleansing pitfalls And let's see, make sure that I covered everything for you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the 4 goals of the serious cleanse. The 4 goals of the serious cleanse are to learn about toxins, to cleanse them from our body, to help track your progress, and I'm going to give you a tool to do that soon, and to prevent toxins from getting in our body in the first place. Sounds good, doesn't it? All right, I shared those case studies with you. How did you prepare? What cleanses have you done before? These are things to think about, things to tell me if you're going to be doing the Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge or a consultation. Let me know how those worked for you. Just to we're recapping, what goes in must come out, the organs of elimination, and the 4 organs of detoxification we covered. What are you cleansing from? Talked a little bit about the perfect cleanse, panchakarma, how there's preparation, the actual cleanses, and how we really need to come out of a cleanse slowly. You don't just eat pizza after a cleanse. For God's sakes, you slowly work your Agni, your digestive fire, back up to what you were doing before, and hopefully a version of even better than you were doing before. Okay, let me take a look and see if we have some questions somewhere. So Sarah, what questions do you have, if any? Happy to answer those. Let's see, I will unmute you.
All right. I wanted to know if you could speak a little bit more about releasing toxic emotions.
Absolutely. So the body, the physical body and the emotional body are very connected. And, I'll talk a little bit about stuffing emotions as a contrast first. All too often, we don't learn healthy emotional habits, and it's no fault of ours because we learn to emote from the people who taught us, and those people learned from their parents and so on and so forth, right? So what frequently happens are we get constipated, just like the physical body. We can get constipated or, one extreme or the other. So we could either have diarrhea in one area. And it's just such a gross over-exaggeration, but I think that it's a good example. We can get backed up in one area or overcompensate in another. And so, for instance, in some families, they're taught to, big boys don't cry, or suck it up, or don't feel that. Someone starts to cry, don't feel that. So as a little person, what do? Immediately you contract, and you learn this pattern, and you continue to emulate that. And then until we question this or learn something else or a healthier emotional expression, we just do the same patterns. And that could be on a very, very, very subtle level, mind you. So part of cleansing the emotions, or even being healthy, is to be able to notice what we're feeling, let it come up, and eliminate. Just, it's like if I see something that, emotions are very physical as well, and we don't realize the connection. So if I see something that tickles me, I'll see it, I'll interpret it, and my body is in the same way. If I see something that I feel angry about, it comes up and out. But if I am taught that I'm not, on some level, even a subtle level, if somebody in, even a subtle level, if somebody in my family felt threatened, for instance, or uncomfortable with someone feeling anger, they might have sent signals. Maybe it wasn't as overt as suck it up, or don't feel that, or big girls don't cry, or big boys don't cry, or fill in the blank. It might have been just a subtle, we pick up on these things when we're little, and we're not mature in our emotional bodies until we're big, but our feelings are big. And unless we have a healthy model, we don't know how to have a healthy emotional movement. So, for instance, if somebody, a healthy way of doing anger is to notice something. You notice, you get angry, it comes up, and it releases. However, let's say the example I was using before, somebody in our life was uncomfortable, even in a subtle way, with the overall feeling of anger. Maybe there was abuse. Maybe somebody was a rageaholic and they just can't even handle it. And so we learn to suppress that. We will not even be in touch with our natural reflex of anger, which is actually healthy. I'm sure you know that it protects us. Anger protects us. It really, we get angry about something, it's for us. Usually we get upset about something, it's either protect us or somebody that we love. And so it's really important to learn healthy ways to begin with, and failing that, we can teach ourselves. There's many different tools. In my Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge, I actually have a lot of I have a whole module on emotional cleansing, and I touch on a lot of different aspects. I could do a whole 30-day challenge on just emotional cleansing. But if you are open-minded, and like it seems like you are, you may want to consider doing a good round of therapy. During every transition, big transition that I've been through, I've done therapy, and it's helped tremendously. We frequently have blind spots, and it's hard for me to get myself somewhere I want to go. It's easy for somebody who's been there. That's why it's easy for me to walk people through the Serious Cleanse protocol, because I've done it, hundreds of times. Somebody just doing it, they're like, well, how long do I leave this stuff on? 10 to 15 minutes, by the way. And somebody who's done this emotional healing, it is second nature for them. And there's lots of techniques like EMDR and tapping that are also really good, right? Or big girls, you can look up EMDR. Dr. Mercola has videos on tapping that this really neat woman did. So yeah, emotional cleansing is a whole aspect, and it comes up when we're doing physical cleansing. That's why I address it in many different ways, through breathing techniques, through directly addressing the emotional, mental aspects, when I'm helping people to cleanse. That's a great question. Thank you. So I will wrap up. Today we talked about the secrets of cleansing. I only gave a few of my secrets, as many as could fit in an hour and a half. I talked to you, I shared some case studies, the 3 important steps, and why one of the steps cannot be missed. The best ways to prepare your body for a cleanse, how to avoid cleansing pitfalls, and I also provided you with some questions to contemplate. And now I will give you my very special tool in assessing your own toxic burden. It took me a couple of months to compile this quiz. It's a really great asset. It will teach you a lot. Um, Thanks so much. Since I think the connection of emotional cleansing with physical is so important. You know what? It is. I so agree with you. And I'll just say another thing on that. Over the years in doing panchakarma, the cleansing and rejuvenation programs with folks, I have seen so many people as they do the physical cleansing, something emotional releases. And similarly, as we do emotional cleansing, physical things release. I've seen it happen time and time again. We think of, our emotions as this separate entity or part of us, and then our body. No, it's our emotional body, which is interwoven in our physical body. It's so connected. So yeah, I agree. And I've spent a lot of time healing and working on my emotional body too. All right. And a lot of therapists miss that. It's true. It's true. So we're not. We got it. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for everybody who's attended the webinar. I hope you've learned things. I hope this helps. Let me know how your cleansing process works. Give me feedback. I love it. Leave questions, comments. I do have that special happening right now for a month of consulting. I think it's about 50% off of what it would be, if not 75%. I have to check the math on that. And then, so there's that. There's also my Serious Cleanse 30-day challenge, and we have an upcoming virtual group cleanse. So there'll be some details about that below. Thank you so much for attending, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you. And as we say here, aloha.